So nutrition is it's a main pillar.
Welcome to episode 2 of the Marathon Prep series.
You know, we've got the training, we've got the recovery, and nutrition is just another pillar.
It's currently 8:40.
You know, it's 100% required. You know, you've got to eat, and it has a massive effect on training performance and recovery.
Now, they don't look the prettiest. I'm just getting into overnight oats. I just think it's just a really convenient way that you can get your carbohydrates, protein in, especially whilst dieting, because it's all kind of like weighed out. So in here we've got 300 grams of yogurt, we've got 1 scoop of protein powder. I just use vanilla in this one, just to keep it plain, and then we've got 80 grams of oats.
So at the moment, my main goal is to improve my power to weight ratio and get my weight down to a weight that I feel is going to be ideal for the marathon.
We're going to have a coffee. I'm going to make Tom a coffee, and then we've got some G1M Sport Plus, which is just 20 grams of carbohydrates and some caffeine, just because it's our morning session. And then we're also going to have another pint of water, so a litre of water. I just like to have that, just to feel hydrated.
So because we're restricted with calories at the moment, we need to be prioritising them around training. So I'm thinking about having high carbohydrate meals before training and having some carbohydrates within training.
So we've got 2 drinks for our session. We've got a carb mix. So this is just 20 grams of carbohydrate and a little bit of caffeine. And then this one is just electrolytes. The focus of in kind of like any session, especially when you're dieting, because when you're dieting, your carbohydrate stores are never full. They are quite depleted. You want to make sure that you're getting a nice supply of carbohydrates throughout the session, because this then allows your body to just deal with the stress of the actual session rather than the stress of dieting up on top. So yeah, I just think you want to be constantly fueled, so you want to make sure that you're prioritizing carbohydrates prior to your session and during your session to get the most out of your session, and then afterwards you kind of rehydrate, and then that's when you have your protein and stuff like that. So
I think when you're training for performance, food has to be looked at as fuel. If you think about it as just fuel, then it's just black and white. You have food before training, you go train, and you perform well, and then you recover after. Last week I think it was 84.6 kg. So we'll see what we are now. Obviously it's a little bit skewed because I have eaten this morning, I have hydrated. But we're 83.95. So that means that we lost 0.65 kg, which is alright. Yeah, it is what it is. So yeah, the target weight is going to be 79 kg, which is a lot to take off still. So we'll do that. So we're going to get into the session now. Session is going to be 2k warm up on the ski, and then we've got 10 by 500 meters at around about high rocks pace, so we're not really fully sending it. 30 seconds rest in between each interval, so keeping the rest nice and short. Then we're going to move over to the rower, do the exact same, so 2k warm up on the rower, and then do 10 by 500 meter intervals, again 30 seconds rest, and then we'll have a quick 10-minute cool down on the bike. So that's this morning session. I'll keep you updated throughout. Let's do it. Damper setting is going to be the same as high rocks. We don't want to fatigue ourselves too much, so we're just going to keep it on a 6. New rules for the season is all the dampers are going to be set on 6, so they're not going to change. So both for ski and row, we're always going to train on a 6. Okay, so 2k warm up, and then we'll get straight into it. So warm up done, 2,000 metres, get straight into it now. Just grab a quick one. So, let's say carbs up this morning, and just gonna steadily drink carbohydrates throughout the session. Let's say we've got 30-second intervals between each 500 metres, so yeah, whenever we feel like in between. But generally we just have like 20 to 40 grams over the session, which is in this bottle. So yeah. We want to show you the screen, how to set up the screen for intervals. So just come here, just zoom in on the screen, Tom. So if we select menu, and then we go on select workout, and then with the workout we'll go new workout, we'll go intervals, and then we'll go distance. So we're going to be doing 500 meter efforts. That's all set up, and then the rest period we're going to go 30 seconds. And if we set that there, then that's on the screen. For the displaying units, we want to keep it on per 500 meter. And then today because we're getting used to just doing high rocks and incorporating these movements back in. I've not done a huge amount of volume on the ski and row since the injury, so we're just going to start off at a 145 pace today, and then hopefully over the weeks we start to bring that down. But 145 is generally my average for high rocks, so if we can do 10 sets of 500 meters at this, then it just shows that we're okay, and that's going to be kind of like our starting point. So we're going to do that. We're going to start, let's say, with that. I'll just get a bit of chalk and then we'll get going. Yeah. Just settle into it. And there's some good stuff. Let's go. Heart rate 162, it's creeping up. Last one coming up. So 10 rounds done, heart rate 163. Just come around here, Tom. Calculate the scores on the doors. So managed there are our scores. So the aim was to keep it under 145. Managed them all 144, which pretty happy with, but there's definitely room for improvement. Felt weak, especially getting to that kind of like last 100 meters of every rep. So yeah, but this phase of training, it's all about building. You don't want to push it too far. You don't want to go too hard too soon. So yeah, we'll have breather, and then we'll get warmed up on the rower. Just get used to the movement by doing 2K, and then we'll do exactly the same, 10 by 500 meters. Because we can't run every day, your body doesn't really know the difference between hitting it high intensity on this or high intensity on a run. So you're still training your heart and lungs and kind of like your aerobic system. So this is the next best thing, and obviously it's a good crossover for high rocks because both row and ski are high rock specific. I'd say when training, especially in the morning, like I try and have carbs in most of the drinks that I have. Just a great way of keeping them stores up.
A lot of people think sugar is bad, especially when dieting, but realistically, sugar is the simplest form of carbohydrate, and we need that for our sessions and to perform well. I don't think there's many top level endurance athletes or high intensity athletes on the planet that aren't utilising sugar.
Plus Red Bull always tastes nicer, like during a session. So I'll make this and then get on with it. Down. Final interval. Again, aiming for all these numbers to be below 145. Heart rate on there was average like 155. So yeah, found that quite tough. So again, same as the ski, just fatiguing them last 100 metres of every interval. Just need to get that. So what we'll do, we'll jump on the bike just for a 10-minute cool down, remove the lactate built up, and then we'll go get something to eat. You got to think, if you're building up lactate, that burning sensation in your muscles through a hard session, and then you just completely stop, that lactate is going to be staying within the muscles, and lactate is very acidic and it can damage the muscles, and this is basically what leads to like further DOMS, so muscle soreness. So if we can remove that lactate and flush it out by getting like nice blood flow to the muscles in an aerobic sense, then we can flush out that lactate, and then we're not going to be as sore. So just 10 minutes. Plus, it's extra aerobic base building. Like if you think across a week, if you're doing 7 sessions, for example, and you're doing a 10-minute warm-up and 10-minute cool down on a bike, that's 140 minutes extra cardio you've built up, and extra kind of aerobic fitness. It's, you know, it's over 2 hours, so it's such an easy way to build a base without even thinking about it. You know, if you just did all your sessions throughout the week without any warm-up or cool down, and then I said on Sunday at the end of the week you've got to go out for 140 minutes, so you know 2 hours 20 to get the equivalent, you'd be like, oh, you know, I'm knackered, I don't want to do that. Whereas you're not even thinking about it when it's on the bike. And that's what the key is to do you know, a lot of elite endurance athletes, they just make the warm-up and cool downs a little bit longer. You know, I'm at the moment today I'm just doing 10 minutes, whereas some guys do an hour warm-up, then do the session, then do an hour cool down, especially the cyclists. Which if you think about that, you know, over a week, that's a lot. Session done. In total, with kind of like rest period and stuff, we did an hour 20. Active calories 1,133. Average heart rate 133 beats, and that just was running throughout the full session. So first things first, we need to make sure that we're recovering as quick as possible. So as always, chocolate milk. Just get that down, and then, like I say, just starting that recovery process, getting ready for our next session as soon as. So, yeah, just in this 25 grams of protein, and then I think there's around about 250 calories in the whole thing. Yeah, so 500 mils, it's 51 calories per meal. So yeah, 255 calories. So decent amount of carbs as well, I think. Yeah, about 27 grams of carbs.
100%. I'd never ever class protein as a supplement. I always, ask people what supplements to take in, and they're always saying protein. I'm like, protein is a macronutrient. It's a food. It's a superfood.
But what about whey protein? Like, would you class it as a supplement?
I'd class it as a superfood. It's not a supplement. It's a superfood. Like you class beetroot as a superfood, or kiwi. It's just really, really good at its job.
So, we just got back from the gym. We're just going to have a light snack. We're going to have 4 eggs with 130 grams of sticky rice, basically one of them VT packs, I'll show you in a minute. And we're going to have it with a little bit of honey on top.
I've worked out the macros. Macros are, sorry, when I say macros, they're calories. It's around 675 calories. Eggs are around about 6 grams of protein per egg, so I've got 24 grams of protein plus the rice plus the honey, so not that much protein. Trying to reduce my protein a little bit to get more carbohydrates in to fuel our sessions, and then at the back end of the day we'll kind of do the opposite, so we'll have less carbohydrates and more proteins just to help with recovery. So that's how we're going to go. Nice and simple as always. Just this is a really quick meal for anyone wanting something quick. Where's the drawer is rammed. Yeah, it just takes about 5 minutes. Not even that, to be fair. Just scramble the eggs, a little bit of salt. Not that I'm a chef, by the way. I'm definitely not a chef. Far from it. But yeah, we're gonna have that, and then whilst that's in, we're going to. So these are the packs of rice. These are a great hack, by the way. They're actually pretty cheap as well. For 2 of them, I think it's £1.25, I think, from Tesco. So one of these is around 200 calories, 130 grams of actual rice. And it takes 1 minute in the microwave, which is ideal. They actually taste banging. Bit more salt, love salt. And then we'll say about 20 grams of honey, which is going to be a bit of a drizzle. The biggest thing that I've learned over the last past year is convenience is sometimes more important than whole foods. And I think that's a good message to get across, because I think in today's age everyone's like, 80 to 90 to 100% of your diet needs to be whole foods, and that's just not convenient. Like, when you're out and about, you've just finished a training session, like, you're not gonna be able to cook up a steak and peel your potatoes. Right, so I'm gonna make my evening snack before bed. Normally I'll have a big yogurt bowl full of granola and stuff when I'm not dieting. Obviously I need to cut calories somewhere, so I find cutting calories with that evening meal is probably the easiest, because then I can pretend all day like I'm not really dieting, and then in the evening just kind of replace a meal or replace a snack, and then I'm instantly kind of dropping that 500 to 1,000 calories what I need to be in for kind of like a deficit. Like, you're going to have processed things. What I've been doing instead, I've just been getting sugar-free jelly and making this. So literally, I think one of these has, well, per 100 gram as prepared, and I think this makes a pint, it's 9 calories, so it'll be 45 calories for the full pint, or 50 calories for the full pint. So dead simple. Just I'm not going to tell you how to make jelly, but I am going to tell you how to make jelly. You're going to do basically half a pint of boiling water, half a pint of cold water. Mix that in, and then what I'll do, I'll just cling film that and then put it in the fridge, and that's it. It'd be interesting to see what other people's little hacks are for dieting, because I don't know. It is tough. It is tough when you've got a goal in mind, and you've got to stick to the diet. Like I say, having little hacks like that, I think, is important. I think staying hydrated, keeping on top of your sleep, are also things that you need just to focus on when dieting. Because if you think about it, I always explain it like this: if your body craves energy, yeah, and your body can get energy from 3 things really. 1 being sleep, 1 being food, and then 1 being kind of like stimulants and stuff like that. So caffeine, coffee. If you're taking one away or restricting one, which is going to be food because we want to be dropping weight, then your body's going to crave it from somewhere else. So what you'll probably find is when you're dieting, your cravings for caffeine is probably going to go up. Especially mine is definitely like I'm always craving like a coffee or an energy drink when I'm dieting. And then, but if we can keep on top of sleep, then our willpower goes up, and our willpower to diet is better.
Who's going to be taking the lead on helping you achieve the 2:19 marathon? Is there any specific coach?
So just for the record, I'm still getting coached by John for all my high rocks training and all my strength training. I've just taken on a new coach for my endurance work that's going to help me specifically for this 2:19 marathon prep, and that is Reece Bartley, who is Lucy Charles Barkley's husband. Lucy is the current Ironman world champion.
So here we go. That is just literally jam on toast with bananas on. Bananas and jam on toast. Nice high carb pre-workout meal. This is 270 calories of, I don't know how many grams of carbs, to be fair. I'll work it out after. Bike session coming up. It's actually one that I did last week, so we're going to repeat it and try and match/get better scores. It's a tough one though. Hello, can you hear me now? Yeah, perfect. Apologies about that.
My name's Reece. I'm an ex-professional swimmer and triathlete, and I'm a now chartered high-performance coach, better known for the other half of Lucy Charles Barclay, who is previously Ironman world champion, 3 times world champion. Yeah, got speaking to Jake over in Boston. Actually started following your YouTube channel, and I just really liked the rawness of it, uncut version of it, highs and lows. And yeah, just wanted to offer my services because I think that Hyrox being a new sport, for sure, there's definitely some untapped areas that is cutting edge in the endurance scene. Obviously, you look like you've got a fantastic setup and team around you already, and I don't want to step on anyone's toes at all with that. I just want to offer my services on the conditioning side of things and the cardio side of things, and hopefully, I can make what you're doing a little bit more efficient. And that's the name of the game when it comes to sports, trying to do a little bit something different that other people aren't doing, or perhaps is a little bit overlooked, and maximizing the amount of hours that you have to train, making sure they're the most efficient, and making sure that you're always monitoring what you're doing and stepping onto the next step. And as we know, Jake set himself some pretty ambitious targets with 2:19 for the marathon. I think it's achievable. I don't see why not. A lot of people say that's crazy. I think it's achievable. Especially speaking to you already, Jake, seeing what you're doing and what you have done. You've done some amazing training, but it's been pretty raw in terms of cardio. There's loads of things we can add to that, and I've already spoken to Jake about implementing some of those methods: heat training, altitude training, mixing the two, and even just at the moment programming the training as he's returning from injury. How I think I can help in a nutshell.
Being a professional athlete yourself, so you kind of walk the walk, but then are in this coaching side where you're coaching an elite sport like triathlon. I think it's going to be incredible. We can take them little kind of like you said, them little nuggets and then apply them to high rocks. I think it's going to be really cool. And like you said, you doing a high rocks as well, you now know what it feels like, and you know how it differs to the other sports, which it does. So yeah, thank you for doing this. I really do appreciate it. And for me personally, like before, like I think I've done well to get to this point, but realistically, with all my endurance training, like we've just been winging it. It's just been me doing a bit of research and then me saying I'm going to do this to my other coach, my strength coach John, and he's like, yeah, that's a good idea, or no, that might be a little bit too much, and that's kind of it. Whereas having professional guidance from yourself, who is very much into the data as well, you're very data driven, and
you know, with that, I think even the last 2 weeks we've been working together, like, I've been really feeling a benefit from the sessions that we've been doing. I've not been too fatigued, but I feel like I've been putting in enough, if that makes sense. Super exciting, but thank you. Yeah, I'm really grateful. Thank you. Have a good day, and I'll speak to you soon. Second session of the day, we've got a bike session. It's going to be a 5-minute warm up. Then we've got 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off, times 8. Hard being 390 watts to 400 watts. Then we've got 5-minute recovery. Then we've got 10 rounds of 2 minutes hard, 2 minutes easy. The hard being at around 300 watts, and then easy kind of 160 to 170 watts, and then 5-minute cool down. So in all, we've got a 1 hour 3 session, and then we're gonna throw on the sweatsuit, and we're gonna do another 30 minutes just sweating away, bringing that cold body temperature up, and we perhaps we can go through kind of like the plan of that after. Yeah. Halfway through this little snack, we've got 50 grams of Haribo, which is equivalent to, I think, 41 grams of carbohydrate. So just going to snack on these. It's equivalent of on a gel, but we're just basically refueling the body, ready to keep going within the session. And we're also practicing digestion whilst at high intensity. Tastes good as well. The last thing's good. So heat training is something I've been doing for quite a while now. I actually learned it off Tom Evans, the ultra runner, and he kind of taught me how to do it. So to my understanding, the science behind it is that you sweat as much as you can out, and your body then reacts by making more blood plasma if you do it on a regular basis. Imagine blood plasma is the stuff your red blood cells are floating around in. So if you create more of this, then you're actually diluting the red blood cells. So your body then sends a message to create more red blood cells, and it can mimic effects such as altitude training in that way. So that's one benefit. The other benefit is you're getting used to getting rid of heat. And this is what we need for Hyrox, because Hyrox is done in a super hot room. If your body temperature hits a certain heat, then you're just going to shut down. You're not going to be able to push on as much as you'd like. So if we can get used to our body regulating our core temperature a little bit better, so that's going to benefit us as well. And then final kind of benefit is when you're actually doing heat training, your heart rate is a little bit higher without putting in the same effort. So I can be cycling here at 180 watts and my heart rate is currently 125 beats per minute. Now if I was to do that without a sweatsuit on, my heart rate would be kind of probably not even at 180 watts, maybe just about. So you can train the aerobic system without putting too much tax on your muscles. That's kind of like another benefit, especially when you're fatigued. The only thing that you've got to be really careful of is you don't want to be too hot. So for safety, you've got to actually regulate and measure your core temperature. Now you can do this in a couple of ways, but I think the most accurate way is getting a rectal thermometer, which currently I don't have. So I'm just going off guesswork. So if you're doing this, I'm probably killing a lot of brain cells. Now, how I like to kind of stay in the safe zone is just make sure my heart rate isn't over 140 beats per minute. If it does, then I either stop what I'm doing or I just set my foot off the gas, so go a little bit slower and try and recover, or take a layer of clothing off. This way you can just ensure you're staying safe, because that is the big kind of side effect. If you push it too hard, it starts to damage your cells, and that's your muscle cells and your brain cells, so you don't want to do that.
Kind of looks like Kenny from South Park.
Maybe.
Have you noticed an improvement in your fitness since like January? I think it's January, wasn't it?
I feel like I'm improving every week. Like my fitness is getting better and better. I'm definitely fitter. You know, the fittest I was before World Champs. Unfortunately, I couldn't run, but that's when I was the fittest. And obviously, I had some time off, and now I feel like I'm back there. I'm just getting fitter. I just need to make sure it carries over to running in the future. And that's why we're putting in all this work. You know, people are going to be like, why are you cycling so much? Why are you rowing so much? Why are you skiing so much when you're training for a marathon? And it's because I can't run at the moment due to injury. I can't run as much as I want to, so we've got to get the work in somewhere. And as soon as we can get that running, we'll just substitute it out. So we'll just do an easy swap. If I was on the bike, I'd swap that to another running session. Or if it was rowing or skiing, we'll swap it to running. So I'm still building that base, that aerobic system, still getting everything firing, still working hard. It's just at the moment I'm recovering from the injury, and then as soon as I'm right and ready, start building up the mileage, which we are doing week on week. We can start substituting stuff out.
So total calories for the day, we've hit 3,250. Protein 231 grams, carbohydrates 335 grams, and fats 108. So fat is still quite high to be fair, but let's say we have been eating chicken thighs and steak for dinner, which, you know, you can have leaner cuts of them. I could have got a fillet steak instead of a T-bone, and I could have had chicken breast instead. So, but we enjoyed ourselves, and we're technically still in a deficit. So today, generally in my BMR, which is basal metabolic rate, which is basically how much a person burns by doing absolutely nothing, is roughly, I'd say, about 1,800 calories. Yeah, so if I did absolutely nothing, I'd probably be able to maintain if I ate 1,800 calories. Now, active calories
for today is, so you can see that up to this point right now, and you know, I might go out with the dog or something after, but up to now it's 2,680. So if we add 1,800 to that, then we've got 4,400. So I'm basically burning around 4,400 to 4,500 calories per day. So me being still eating 3,250 calories, I'm still in quite a big deficit. So 1,250 deficit, which is quite large, to be fair. I could actually have another meal tonight if I wanted, and probably I probably want to aim for every day to be around anywhere between 500 calories and 1,000 calories deficit for us to be dropping 1 to 2 pounds of body weight per week, which is kind of like the aim at the moment. So yeah, I hope this video helps. If you've got any questions about anything, please put them below. Yeah, and let us know what you want to see on future episodes. But yeah, thanks Tom. Thanks for another great day, good day of training, another couple of boxes ticked off, and we'll see you in the next one.